Unleash your creativity with a micro welder, episode 27. Today we're going to make this double-stranded enamel bracelet with a flower and a birthstone. These are the tools and components I'll be using in this video. I will have detailed information and links in the description below. What I have here is the 70s style flower, which has 4 petals that are separated and a little bezel set. Here I've got Glacial Mist style enamel chain in sterling silver, and it's got a graduation of moss gray to gray and cream, and it's really pretty. Before I go further, I just want to say that you can substitute any of these components. The only thing is you do need a component, a centerpiece, that where the loops, holes are separated, because what we're going to do is to do 2 strands like this. If it's just a large irregular loop, what happens once it pulls is that this part goes together. Now, while that is fine, and if you like that design and that's what you're aiming for, it is pretty with double strand. But if you want them to be separated, this part needs to also be separated, where whatever you loop into one cannot slip out onto the other. And also, this chain that you use, you want one where you can fit jump ring so that it can swivel loose easily within your flower. Now, this flower usually is worn this way, connected like that, and but you can, in this case, I'm going to go this way, and it's a decision whether or not we can do multiple. Certainly, if say you want to add more meaning and you've got different family members, you can, with different birthstones, you can add that. But today I just wanted to make something decorative, and I'm going to use only one. Oftentimes when you're making jewelry, bracelets ahead of time, so not custom in front of the person, you want to leave a little extra plus extension chain. And if it is the case that you have the person in front of you, you're measuring, you can actually use the chain itself to do the measuring, which I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you. The thing is, because you're using a clasp and not permanent jewelry, you want it to be slightly looser because you want to be able to lift. I'm going to show you what I mean. You want to be able to lift up to clasp. So you're not doing it right next to the skin. You don't want to have to pull too much and make it tight for them to clasp onto something. So I would say leave a couple of millimeters, maybe 5, depending on the size of clasp you are going to use. So I'm going to demonstrate what I mean. Say, for example, and I like it slightly looser because I got thick fingers and not long nails. So if this is snug, I take this and I measure, and it is 6 1/4 inches. I know from experience that I like it around just a little bit bigger than 6 1/2. So let's aim for 6 1/2, plus maybe leave a little extra for in case I want a bigger jump ring. I can adjust that low later. Okay, so there's an easy way in which to measure and decide how you want, especially when there's a chain that has a pattern. So I'm visual and I like to mock it up. I'm going to put this at 3 1/4 so that when it doubles, it's 6 1/2. So I'm going to focus on this side. And let's see about the pattern. And I think I like this dark green. It picks up on the center stone. It's similar. So now you could also do it randomly, and you can mock it up to see how you like it if it was different colors, two different colors. And I feel I like the concentration and symmetry of the dark green starting over there. Then, okay, so I know where I want to start. Now I want to see how long it is. The other thing is, don't just go straight, because you'll end up, if you remember grade 7 geometry, the hypotenuse, you want this part to be longer. It needs to be a little longer. So here we go. There. So I am going to cut away. I have a decision, because this link doesn't have a lot of extra wiggle room. And I think I'm going to cut away the white one. So that's what we're going to do. Since the chain segments are all the same length and pattern, it's easier for me to cut them out at the same time and lay them like this to make sure that I don't make a mistake. So I've got them lined up, and now I am ready to attach the jump rings, and then I'm going to weld all at once. First, I'm going to put on the jump rings, see if I kind of like the way it looks, and then we'll go from there. Okay. By the way, 26 gauge here works for this chain. If it was the case, since the link, I'm going to show you a close-up, the link is oval. If it was the case that my jump ring is a little bit thicker, what I would do is I would use a pin and ream it. But right now, since I am using 26 gauge, 24 gauge, it works. And definitely 26 gauge for most chains that have the loop, it will work. Okay, so I'm just going to okay, there we go. That is shaping up to be very pretty. And oops, I'm going to show you what it will look like. So that's looking good. Okay. And if you don't pull too hard, you can actually mock it up and see if you need to change up some of the design. By the way, so that it doesn't get twisted and shorter, what you should always do with chains is let it drape naturally. So like this, let it drape naturally, and then smoothen it out this way. And you know that it's not twisted and it hasn't gotten shorter. And this is the part where if you made a mistake and made something too short, you can add a couple of jump rings on the end, or maybe add an unusual accent, a birthstone of some secret birthstone. So, okay. Now I think maybe I twist. So sometimes when this happens, like you see it's twisted, then maybe one of your chains is twisted. So I'm going to close that up again, and I'm just going to let it fall naturally. By the way, if you're enjoying this so far and seeing these tips, please like and subscribe and let me know how you like everything. Okay, so there. It's no longer twisted, see? Okay, and see if you can see this. And once I add a the clasp, I'm going to be very happy with that, yes. Okay. So in this case, this is when you decide, okay, I'm going to, do I want something bigger? If I want it longer, I'll add one more jump ring to it. But if I don't, I can just add the clasp right here and now. Okay, but I think I'm going to add a bigger jump ring here. I could also just add a small one and it would be discreet. But I find that when I put on bracelets myself, it is a bit of a struggle. And I just do this and I clasp. I would prefer to have a bigger jump ring to fish with. Okay. So I could do that. Oops. So if you were putting it on yourself, you would put it up against your body and then find the other end. Yeah. Okay. And it is very comfortable. So I'm liking it. If, just to save yourself time, if at this point you find it's not very comfortable, you want it bigger or smaller, then you can trim it. Yeah. Okay, so now we're ready to weld. Okay, so now I'm ready to weld, and I'll just take a moment to tell you about my setup right here. I'm using the Orion Impulse, and this is 24 gauge sterling silver, and I'm going to weld at 6 watts. You can choose 5 or whatnot. And for the sake of filming, I'm just using a phone clip that I can adjust at the angle for better lighting. I'm using the grounded pliers, but it would be the same with the alligator clip. So not much difference. And I'm going to adjust the lighting here. I hope you can see this. Okay. The other thing is, I'm going to repeat myself. A lot of people say that it's really hard to see tiny little jump rings, especially when you're holding onto them. And if there's a trick, and there is. So if you like to hold onto this way, your hand is this way, try always doing it here so you're holding at 3 o'clock. Or if you like it doing this way, like you like to hold it this way, then have it at 6 and 12 o'clock, run your finger across the top, and then you're ready to weld. For a lot of my welding work, just studio work, I like to hold so that my hands are in the tripod kind of thing. Oops. Like this. It just holds it steady, especially if I can't have my face close for filming. There. I'm just gonna, my hand moved. Okay. And I'm not using argon because a lot of times people, if they don't have it, they want to see the effect if it's going to work with argon. I mean, without argon. And it works without argon. You just get more oxidation like this. And then you can just use your bristle brush to clean it off. And that is very secure. I can see it completely melted. Okay, but you should always try to see if you can open it up. So I'm going to now weld the rest of them. Good. Okay. Great. And I could tell that the seam has been fused, and I really am liking this little nail polisher. Oh, completely clean. Here's a close-up of the effect. Really nice. Okay, now we're going to do the back. This. The other thing is, sometimes these clasps are open and sometimes they're not on the side, and it's hard to tell. Let me see, this one is open. So I'm going to, and it's thicker, but I think it will work the same way. So, at 6 watts. Let me see. Okay. Good. Excellent. There's a bit of oxidation. Look at that. Fantastic. Okay, so that's done. And then I decided to use this jump ring, and it is 22 gauge, the thick one. By the way, it's okay if it misfires when you are, I'm standing, actually I'm back quite a bit, and filming is tricky. So that's why I put it at slightly higher wattage, because your hands are, I've got micro tremors, and higher wattage will compensate a bit for imprecision. Okay. show you a close-up. Really nice. Although you see a seam here, it is completely closed because I fused it up here, and it is very strong. I love it. Okay, so now I'm going to shoot from a different angle and wear it for you. Ta-da! I really like that. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, please like and subscribe. It really does help my algorithm. And let me know in the comments what city you live in and where you're tuning in from.